How to create and live your definite chief aim. The definite chief aim is a commitment to bring forth an end result, a creation, an outcome that is based on evolving yourself on the journey and the realization of it. This entire journey is about finding, evolving, and realizing yourself. And it is through the definite chief aim that you are able to do this. Now, there's many ways of realizing yourself. The definite chief aim is a creative way of realizing yourself. Now, this is something that I had learned from Think and Grow Rich from Napoleon Hill. And the very first definite chief aim that I created was to get out of $50,000 debt in 2004. A few years later, I found myself out of $50,000 debt and then created my second definite chief aim to find the ideal house that I was interested in purchasing. And like the first definite chief aim, I was able to bring it forth. And then after that, I created another definite chief aim, which was to pass a IT certification, Cisco certification. Some of you in the IT world will know what I'm talking about. And I was able to pass it with a score of 100% as a result of creating and living the definite chief aim. Now, fast forward, I built and grew a IT business, created many relationships in my life, evolved to a higher degree of health and fitness, and created many different successes as a result of creating and living my definite chief aim. Now, on the journey of creating all of these definite chief aims, I found out one very interesting truth. That it wasn't necessarily just about creating the definite chief aim. It was about realizing my potential, my higher self, and releasing aspects of the self-image that was based on past programming, information that I acquired throughout my life, that brought me to a level of disempowerment, lower level of self-esteem, self-confidence. And as a result, these were the elements that I was releasing that as I released them, contributed to the success. Most of what is involved with creating the definite chief aim is about releasing past elements of ourself that are disempowering, that manifest themselves as certain thoughts, emotions, behaviors, outer world interpretation of people, environment, and circumstance and information that appears to hinder us, but rather, upon careful cause and effect reflection, we realize that these are opportunities for evolving. So what is a definite chief aim? Let's get a little deeper into it. And as mentioned, I had learned this from Think and Grow Rich. So let's get into the definition of definite chief aim from Think and Grow Rich. Fix in your mind the exact amount of money you desire. It is not sufficient to merely say, I want plenty of money. Be definite as to the amount. Now, the book Think and Grow Rich is about creating wealth directly, money, and also it is about creating whatever else kind of success you are looking for in your life. Now, as a result of working with the definite chief aims, I realized that there's many ways of creating a definite chief aim. And what was given in the book was a very specific example. For example, you can create a definite chief aim based on a specific long-term goal, a specific short-term goal, or general evolutionary goal, short-term or long-term, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But to understand this from the foundation of which I learned it, it was based on specificity. So let's discuss it from this perspective, again, relating back to Think and Grow Rich. He says, determine exactly what you intend to give in return for the money you desire. For me, it was service through the capacity of my corporate IT career. At that time, the first definite chief aim. And then as I moved into entrepreneurship, it was quality of service, quantity of service, and spirit of service as an entrepreneur in exchange for the money that I desired, or the definite chief aim, the goal's outcome, specific outcome. He says, establish a definite date in which you intend to possess the money you desire. Now, you can do this if you'd like, and based on your faith and ability to evolve yourself and maintain in that ideal state of mind in which your thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and actions are in alignment with that, you will be able to create it accordingly. Now, if this can be too overwhelming for you to believe that you can create it by the date, then that's fine. There's two ways of going about doing it. Number one is to just set a date and challenge yourself to achieve it by that date. Or number two, I find, is to not have a date in which you'll realize it anyways. Because I mentioned this in many videos of mine. Every definite chief aim, and I've shared with you a handful, every single definite chief aim I was able to bring forth. And some I set definite dates on, while others I set very general end result goals without having a date assigned. It's really up to you. It says, create a definite plan for carrying out your desire and begin at once, whether you are ready or not, to put this plan into action. So the very first step is to create a definite chief aim and to follow the plan of affirming it on your subconscious mind till it affirms itself and externalizes itself as the steps that lead up to the realization of the definite chief aim, which will be revealed to you through a hunch inspiration, enough to just get started. It could be an idea to take a certain action. Certain synchronicity or circumstance might reveal itself in the outer world, guiding you in a certain direction. Write out a clear, concise statement of the amount of money you intend to acquire. Name the time limit for its acquisition. State what you intend to give in return for the money, and describe clearly the plan. You can leave it up to specific plans and create it based on specific plans, or you could leave it general. Again, I realize these things upon reflection and bringing forth many definite chief aims, that although this is a very specific guide articulated by Napoleon Hill, there's variations to this in which we're going to discuss. Read your written statement aloud twice daily, once just before retiring at night, and once after arising in the morning. As you read, see and feel and believe yourself already in possession of the money. Again, we're referring to money here, but it can work for anything that you desire to create. So here's an example that he gives. Suppose you intend to accumulate $100,000 by the January 5 years hence that you intend to give personal services in return for the money in the capacity of an entrepreneur. And I've modified this a little bit. The first day of January 2022, I will have in my possession $100,000, which will come to me in various amounts from time to time during the interim. In return for this money, I will give the most efficient service for which I am capable, rendering the fullest possible quantity and the best possible quality of service in the capacity of an entrepreneur. And you can describe the service or merchandise you intend to offer. I believe that I will have this money in my possession. My faith is so strong that I can now see this money before my hands. I can touch it with my hands. It is now awaiting transfer to me at the time and in the proportion that I deliver the service I intend to render in return for it. I am awaiting a plan to which to accumulate this money, and I will follow this plan when it is received. So as mentioned, this is very specific and this is related to money, but what we can do is evolve this and align it to what feels right for you. Some of us might prefer doing something that is more specific and long-term or short-term. Some of us might want something more general, like sense of well-being or happiness or fulfillment, or just having an environment that is in harmony to what you desire that is more general. It's really up to you. The reason why we pick specific, definite chief aims is because it's easier to bring forth something specific, because then you have contrast. Through the day-to-day experience in your life, you will realize the aspects about yourself that is within your subconscious mind that is not in harmony with your definite chief aim, and you will release these aspects. And as a result, you will become the person that is the reflection of the definite chief aim, and then will be brought forth the definite chief aim in reflection. Now, who you become on the journey is evolved through your thinking, emotions, behaviors, beliefs, and your way of being. So thus, here are some important elements that I've realized about the definite chief aim that can contribute to helping you bring it forth. Definite chief aim is a commitment to evolve physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. It's a commitment to your higher self. I believe that the definite chief aim is given to you by your higher self. It is who you're destined to be. And whatever instruction is given to you by your higher self contains within it further instructions for greater definite chief aims or next definite chief aims as a result of releasing certain kinds of programming that externalizes as thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and outer world circumstances that was based on past programming, to then have the capability and capacity to receive a higher purpose and then bring that forth. And in this process, you build a relationship with your higher self and infinite intelligence. He talks about in Think and Grow Rich the concept of infinite intelligence, and this concept is very unique and individualized. It can mean something to one person and something totally different to another person. It's important to build your relationship with the concept of infinite intelligence via your inner voice, which is your own unique connection to this concept called infinite intelligence, which is realized on the journey as you release programming that denies your higher self from being received and the definite chief aims and the instructions. As I said, the plans are received from within. Any kind of programming that denies it will appear to create hindrances in the outer world, people, environment, circumstance, and information. But it's really the programming within that is externalizing it to appear that way. And as a result of honoring what is being discussed here and going through the process, you evolve physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually in the journey. The concept of infinite intelligence being a spiritual component, emotions being how you react versus respond, and how you respond versus react, whether you're reactive or proactive to five sensory data that appears in the outer world, based on the beliefs, assumptions, and meaning you assign to it, which is evolved on the journey to creating a definite chief aim. Mentally, certain kinds of thought processes, the accumulated knowledge and expertise that you gain on the journey from outer world five sensory data, people, environment, circumstance, and information, as well as certain kinds of thinking processes that you uncover within yourself via your inner voice. Physically, you also evolve as you move into higher states of being and release of physical components in your life that are not in harmony with your definite chief aim, and identifying with physical behaviors, actions, and physical ways of being that are in alignment with your definite chief aim. This is also a great way to identify and, as mentioned, release disempowering programming from your subconscious mind about yourself, others, and life. See, when we read the affirmative statement of our definite chief aim, and what I recommend doing is actually writing it out and keeping a copy with you, where you could read it in the morning and read it in the evening, or read it whenever you feel fear, doubt, or indecision showing up on the journey. It affirms on your subconscious mind, and you orient yourself, and the outer world orients itself based on what is impressed on the subconscious mind. So thus, it is a great way to, via your inner voice and your emotional reaction, identify any programming that is not in alignment based on how you react to it. And I recommend watching the video that I did a few videos ago on releasing certain kinds of aspects within your subconscious mind using the emotional guidance scale and understanding levels of consciousness. I'll put a link in the description to help you with this. Now, it's also a way to create meaning and purpose in your life. What we want is to live a meaningful and purposeful life. By having a definite chief aim and committing to a definite chief aim, we experience the feeling, the being of meaning and purpose in our life. And this excites us and brings us into flow. Flow is where challenge meets skill, and we're rising up with skill to meet the challenges that occur on a day-to-day basis towards the realization of our definite chief aim. Results-oriented way of being in service to others and evolution. This is another important concept. This is a way of being in service to others, yourself, and evolution in a results-oriented way. So you're creating a definite chief aim, which is to bring forth into existence a way of being, a externalization, whether it be a physical creation or a way of living that also allows you to be in the process in service to others as inspiration, as an educator, or as a person that creates value in the lives of others. Now, one of the things that happens when you bring forth a definite chief aim again and again and again is that you realize that the destination and the journey are one. You value them as one. So you're not looking at the end result and saying, I'd rather be at the end result than where I am right now, but rather saying that this is all part of the process. I am evolving, I am growing, and one day I will realize my definite chief aim. So I value what shows up to me, even if I am not happy with the outer world circumstance, people, environment, information that presents itself. But upon cause and effect reflection of outer world and inner world, I can evolve my perspective and the beliefs and the meanings that I'm assigning to this five sensory data so that I can realize that it's contributing towards my definite chief aim by identifying and reflecting upon how it is so. As a result, optimal thoughts, emotions, and behaviors flow from us, and we find ourselves more so in the state of flow. Flow is living in the idea, the being, the emotion, the physicality of being one with the destination and the journey. Watch the video I did on creating success with flow and the book Flow by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi to learn more about the concept of flow. So now that we've gotten into a high-level overview of what is a definite chief aim from the perspective of Napoleon Hill as well as my own personal experiences on the journey, let's talk about creating your definite chief aim. So there's three fundamental ways of creating a definite chief aim. You can create a specific long-term goal, a specific short-term goal, or a general evolutionary goal, short-term or long-term. Now, long-term goal might be something that I had identified in the example, which may take you 2 years, 5 years, or whatever. Or it could be a lifelong goal. If you identify your purpose in life through your conversation with your higher self and experience, then you're more likely to set up a long-term goal. You also, at the same time, can identify your long-term goal in earlier stages in your life. It really doesn't matter. It's not about the age, but rather your congruence and resonance with your higher self. You'll know when you have a long-term goal and your vision. Now, by creating a long-term goal using a template of affirmative statements, as I had identified in the earlier part of this video, you have successfully created a definite chief aim. And as a result of creating it, you begin to then identify with it by writing it out and committing to it and affirming it on the subconscious mind via affirmation statements, self-talk, and self-reflection of how the outer world is going to contribute and is already contributing through synchronicity towards your outcome. You are now impressing your long-term goal, your definite chief aim, on your subconscious mind, and you are moving in that direction. As a result, the same rules apply as mentioned. You will evolve physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You will also identify and release disempowering programming from your subconscious mind about yourself, others, and life. This will also create a higher degree of meaning and purpose in your life, and you will be, as a result, in service to others, either through your example or through the outcome and output of your definite chief aim along the journey and the end result. You will also, in the process, value the destination and the journey as one and find your flow and live in it. Now, the second way of doing it is a short-term specific goal. Now, it could be something that you can create that is not based on anything complex, but rather a short-term goal, like seeing a project all the way till completion. Perhaps you want to build a business, and the first step is to create your website and perhaps something of your first 4 or 5 videos on YouTube. Well, then what you do is you say that your definite chief aim is to have by a certain date the creation, the outcome of the 5 videos and also the website. And you can use the same script as mentioned earlier and fill that in to commit to the realization of that definite chief aim. And as mentioned, along the journey of creating that definite chief aim, a few things end up happening. You will find that you will evolve physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You'll acquire new skills. You will build a deeper connection with your inner voice, and watch the last video I did on connecting with your inner voice. You will evolve mentally, as you'll acquire more knowledge, insights, perspectives, and education to further help you understand about how to create your success and bring forth further definite chief aims. You will also physically evolve yourself as you identify physical ways of being to evolve your programming within and contribute to further definite chief aims. For example, for me, I value being in physical, optimal health, and as well as consuming certain kinds of foods that contribute to me feeling a certain way. And this is a physicality aspect that I identified on the journey of creating prior definite chief aims. And what I realized is that these were contributing factors for me. These were my beliefs, that these physical aspects were contributing factors to my definite chief aim, and thus I chose to honor them. Now, the same thing is true when you create a short-term definite chief aim. Identify and release subconscious disempowering programming about yourself. So much of our programming that we have right now is based on past versions of ourselves. And our current self-image is in the process of evolving to the higher self, which is continuously evolving, which is a result of imagining and visioning a definite chief aim and making a commitment to bring it forth, even if it was something that would be considered small, like a part leading up to the whole. Because the truth is this: after you create a specific short-term definite chief aim, you're going to receive another one. And this process is going to repeat again, again, and again. And what's going to happen is you're going to identify more programming, and eventually you're going to realize your meaning and purpose in life and your contribution. And you will look back on your life and reflect and see that everything was actually contributing to the person that you were becoming. So again, this provides meaning and purpose in your life, because one of the questions I get asked a lot is, if I don't have a long-term goal or something really big, how can I find my definite chief aim? Well, by creating a short-term goal and just seeing it all the way to completion, it could take 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months, and just committing to it, what you're going to notice is you're going to find your flow and create more meaning in your life and have more purpose, because your purpose then becomes a definite chief aim. And it's not just, as mentioned, the definite chief aim, but who you become on the journey, the evolution of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And as a result, you also are in service to yourself through your being and service to others, and in service to others if your short-term goal is part of evolving and contributing to others. Valuing the destination and the journey, seeing them as one also, and finding and living in your flow. Now, the third one is more general. Okay, so if you can't create something specific, just get started with something general. You could say, my short-term goal is happiness and well-being, and to keep myself in a certain state of mind in which I identify with at a higher degree of consciousness level, or the emotional guidance scale, which I talked about in the previous 2 videos. I'll put a link in the description to that. And by creating something general like this, what will happen is you'll start moving forward in the destination of realizing your higher self and receiving via your higher self through the inner voice conversation specific short-term definite chief aims and long-term definite chief aims, to continue on the journey that you've already been on by combining the purpose and life experiences of your past to create what you desire, which is a more general, but will reveal to you further aspects about yourself or purposes in life via your higher self. And the same rules apply. As a result, you evolve physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You identify and release disempowering programming. You'll have more meaning in life and purpose. You'll be more in service to yourself, others, and evolution. You will value the destination and journey as one. Now, the reason why I emphasize valuing the destination and journey and seeing them as one is because this is one of the best ways to create the definite chief aim. Because what you'll find is that you will find more meaning in the different experiences that you have. You will learn faster, you will grow faster, and you will have a higher degree of appreciation and gratitude for what you have in your life right now. And this gratitude will unveil to you, reveal to you what we call acres of diamonds. And I did a discussion on Russell Conwell's book, Acres of Diamonds. I recommend you watch that video and read the book. We have within our awareness everything we need right now. Everything exists right now in this moment. And the question is, do we see it? This is our acres of diamonds. When we calibrate towards a definite chief aim, and at the same time value the destination and journey as one, we begin to see how we already have the resources that we need to create our success. Whatever journey you decide to go on, it begins from where you are right now. Whatever way or whatever how shows up is going to be started from where you are right now. It's going to appear that you move through a bridge of incidents, but really it's the valuing and releasing of the devaluing of people, environment, circumstance, and information based on past programming that is going to reveal the hunches and inspirations. And this is all going to happen with conversations with others who are going to show up on the journey and inspire you, people, information, circumstance, as well as your inner voice conversation with yourself that is going to help you realize that you have at this moment your acres of diamonds, and you've always had it. And no matter where you are in this journey, creating further definite chief aims, you have everything you need right now. And you identify it and affirm it by releasing the disempowering programming that denies it. Now, as a result of being this way, you also live in flow and create from a place of flow. And as a result of creating from a place of flow, you, as mentioned, value the journey and the destination and see it as one. Now, on the journey, once you've created your definite chief aim and you've begun to identify with it by affirming it on your subconscious mind, by reading it in the morning and night, you are moving in the direction of creating your definite chief aim or realizing your definite chief aim. So here's some important points to remember. Any idea, plan, or purpose may be placed in the mind through repetition of thought. This is why you are asked to write out a statement of your major purpose or definite chief aim, commit it to memory, and repeat it in audible words day after day, Napoleon Hill. So after you've created your definite chief aim, it's a commitment to stay with your definite chief aim till it is brought forth. And on your journey to creating your definite chief aim, various elements might show up in the outer world. For example, people, environment, circumstance, information will show up, as five sensory data always does, to reveal to us what we need to let go of. Okay, there's certain elements that we want to keep into consideration. Boredom, pessimism, frustration, doubt, worry, blame, anger, hatred, insecurity, shame, and fear. These are elements that I got from the Emotional Guidance Scale by Abraham Hicks, and I did a discussion on this. I'll put a link in the description on creating success, working with the Emotional Guidance Scale and levels of consciousness. Now, these elements will show up in the outer world, or I would say elements that we identify these emotional reactions to will show up in our day-to-day experiences. And it's important to reflect upon the meaning we're assigning to this programming and evolve our perspectives within. Now, as mentioned, it's who you become on the journey. You evolve physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And all of this information that appears that fall within these categories is insightful data to help contribute to your definite chief aim when we look at it from this perspective of contribution to the process. Note the elements from your day that were not in alignment with your definite chief aim. Release any kind of shame or judgment of yourself and others regarding these notes that you have, because if we have judgment or shame-based judgment towards people, environment, circumstance, and information, it will blind us. It will keep us there, and we'll fail to see the programming in our subconscious mind that recreates it and is experienced as these different kinds of emotions that don't contribute in the direct sense, but indirectly they do, because they're reflective information that we can understand and evolve within. And as a result of not releasing ourselves and recreating these same kinds of sensations in the outer world experiences, in other words, identifying certain emotions to these outer world circumstances, people, environment, information, five sensory data, as a result of recreating it, the journey becomes one of frustration and not one of flow. So we note these elements and we evolve the programming within using self-talk. Watch the video discussion I did on the 4 modalities that I use. Adjusting our environment, picking and choosing empowering and uplifting environments, making adjustments of how we look at our environment, changing our perspective on it. Or we could do revision, which is one of my favorite things to do. It's self-talk-based revision, invisible counsel-based revision, as discussed in Think and Grow Rich. Working with a trusted advisor, someone that you can confide with, and it can help you revise certain meanings that you are giving to outer world circumstances, five sensory data that is based on any of these elements, so they can help you identify with a higher level perspective that is in contribution to your definite chief aim, that is going to help you find and honor your flow, as well as subconscious mind audios, my favorite. And each of these areas can be very contributing to your success. And I did a discussion on Pruning Trees of Revision by Neville Goddard. I recommend you watch that. Now, what also shows up is people, environment, circumstance, and information that reveal appreciation, positive expectation, empowerment, and love. And also, our goal is to assign appreciation, positive expectation, empowerment, and love to people, environment, circumstance, and information, because all of them are contributing to our journey. One of the major things that happens on the journey of creating our definite chief aim is we begin to appreciate ourselves and others. We begin to rise up to higher levels of consciousness and recognize what they are revealing to us about ourselves. If we don't like what is being revealed in the outer world, then that is an opportunity to sit and evolve within up until a point where you can make peace with and appreciate the different information, people, environment, circumstance in a way that's right for you. You just have made peace with it in a way that doesn't break your flow and disempowers you and disempowers them in the process as well. So upon reflecting of what shows up on the journey and identifying the programming through noting, journaling, reflecting upon the different elements that show up in the categories of boredom, pessimism, frustration, doubt, worry, blame, anger, hatred, insecurity, shame, and fear, and evolving that programming, changing the meaning and evolving it, using self-talk, environment, revision, subconscious mind audio over to appreciation, positive expectation, empowerment, and love, we find higher degrees of flow and maintain our course with joy, bliss, and ease towards the realization of our definite chief aim. Now, here are some important elements to keep into consideration that I want to share with you, also based on my personal experience. Thoughts of contrast reveal themselves, and our emotional response to them determine where our attention goes. So we all know this. Where our attention goes, our energy flows. And if we assign a meaning to five sensory data that is from those lower levels of emotions, then our attention goes and attracts other kind of information, and we assign further the same information to whatever else shows up in relation to that same level of emotion. So our energy goes in that direction. And the same is on the flip side. If whatever shows up on our journey, we understand, we evolve, we respect, we appreciate, and we love, and we see it from positive expectation and empowerment, we begin to further move in that direction. When in doubt, remember to check with your inner voice for the next action, because clarity increases with action. And action can be a thought. It doesn't necessarily have to be a thing you do. Action can be a meditation. It could be a perspective shift. And this is found with building a relationship with your inner voice. Really recommend that video that I did last video. Watch it and realize that really another thing that happens on this definite chief aim realization journey and the continuous bringing forth of future definite chief aims is you build a deeper connection with your inner voice. Your self-esteem, your self-confidence, self-love, self-acceptance goes up, and your ability to accept, love, and understand the outer world, people, environment, circumstance, and information goes up as well. Now, what also shows up is inspirations from others. Okay, this is constantly being revealed to you on your journey, and you can see this all the time. But however, if we identify with past programming that is disempowering in nature, we might not be inspired by what we see, but rather we feel that whatever's showing up is holding us back. It's the meaning that we're assigning to it, which is from the world within, which is really our self-image, or using the Robert Dilts model here, identity. So reflecting back on the Robert Dilts model, we've got vision, identity, values and beliefs, capabilities, behaviors, and environment. If you want to know more about the Robert Dilts model, I recommend watching the video I did on it. Put a link in the description. Vision is your definite chief aim. Identity is your self-image, who you are evolving to, which is in alignment with your vision, which is in alignment with your higher self. Your values and beliefs are being identified on the journey, and we are changing them. As a result of changing our values and beliefs, our capabilities change. We begin to perform better, our behaviors change, and also our environment changes. So we focus mostly on changing the world within. Now, you can change the environment. In other words, you can consciously choose to behave a certain way or consciously choose to change your environments. And I recommend doing a combination. But what you'll find is that by evolving your beliefs to being more in alignment with the elements we discussed earlier, is that your behaviors will automatically change. Your environments will automatically change. By you choosing and honoring certain kinds of capabilities, behaviors, and environments that are in alignment, you'll have a desire to honor those things, and you'll be fighting with resistance with the outer world, which is externalized. The resistance to evolving past the five sensory data that binds us there is characterized by boredom, pessimism, frustration, doubt, worry, blame, anger, hatred, insecurity, shame, and fear. These emotions bind us to certain behaviors, capabilities, and environments. As a result of releasing them and evolving to appreciation, positive expectation, empowerment, and love, the desire to manifest certain behaviors, capabilities, and even evolve the environment, and even have the environment and behaviors and capabilities change on their own accord, is the result of the evolution of the programming within. Now, what will also happen is you will determine what is right from a creation standpoint and contribution rather than what I call ego right. And by ego, I'm not referring to the conscious mind that picks and chooses a definite chief aim. The ego right is the area that we want to continuously evaluate as it shows up. And it can show up in identification of these various elements that we talked about: boredom, pessimism, frustration, doubt, worry, blame, anger, hatred, insecurity, shame, and fear. And we project it to others, people, environment, circumstance, and information, because that's one of the tricks. Say it's the outer world, and deflect it over to the outer world without reflecting back within and changing the cause within. As we continue this journey and evolve in the journey, physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, we will identify and release the ego right-based elements and identify with the truth-based right elements. Now, it does not need to happen right away. This entire thing that we're speaking of is a process that, and I recommend watching this video over and over again along your journey. After you bring forth a definite chief aim, this will make even more sense to you. This is the same process that repeats itself that everybody goes on when they create a definite chief aim and bring it forth. And in the future, you'll be able to bring forth definite chief aims faster relative to the evolution of your beliefs. Now, here's an important point that I want to emphasize. On the journey or in meditation, we reveal ourselves. The power is in self-esteem and inner voice relationship. So what this means is that there's two ways of becoming your higher self, fundamental. And then there's many varying degrees in between. Number one is you can meditate. You can sit down in isolation and you can meditate and confront aspects of yourself that deny you creating the kind of life that you want. It'll be revealed in your meditations. Or number two is a more active process through creating in reality, through entrepreneurship. You're still revealing aspects of yourself. Now, I recommend a combination of both. So really, no matter where we go in life, everywhere you go, there you are, and you are revealing aspects of yourself, and it is revealing the degree that you have as far as self-esteem. And watch the video I did on 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem by Nathaniel Branden, put a link in the description, and your degree of connection with your inner voice. Now, when you build your connection with your inner voice, you will start to have better self-talk conversations, revision, and create better subconscious mind audios and environmental associations. You'll pick and choose certain environmental associations that not only facilitate your inner voice, but also reveal to you the different elements and meanings that you are giving to outer world circumstances, people, environment, and information that is not in alignment with even higher versions of yourself. This is how a lot of the great information has been brought forth, is people go on this journey and they repeat it again, and again. And as a result of repeating the journey, they go into higher realizations and aspects of themselves that are in harmony with even more powerful ways of thinking that they share with others to help them bring forth their desire from a place of contribution and being in service and harmony. So as you continue to create your definite chief aims, as you continue to live this way and bring forth your definite chief aims, what you will find is you will collectively contribute. You will contribute to the lives of others and contribute to the discussions that was brought forth by many others who have traveled similar journeys like this to share with others. And as a result of it, we'll start to notice a greater degree of collaboration, connection, and relationships with each other as we work in the spirit of harmony to evolve our understanding and also contribute to the definite chief aims of each individual and the collective. And that's why I really recommend watching that video I did on the mastermind, because I get into that. And what we'll then understand is that we are all individual expressions of the same mind. This is actually one mind, individualized, all working together. We only create disempowering meaning in the world within that denies our definite chief aim and denies and breaks the connection with all the resources that we have access to, the acres of diamonds, to help us bring forth the definite chief aim through our relationships with others, relationships with ourselves, understanding and valuing that everything that you need to create your definite chief aim is available to you right now, where you are right now. And it starts with creating a definite chief aim and committing to it all the way till it is brought forth. If you want to copy this mind map, the link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.